Welcome back to Arifureta Anime Review episode number 10. Yep, 10. This one, basically, I'm reviewing the 18th episode of the anime, Memories from the Bottom of the Sea. Now, unlike the previous episodes I watched on Funimation, this one I watched on the website because I'm having some difficulties with some stuff. I'm not going to go into it because it's personal. I'm going to hopefully get it straightened out in the next couple days. Hopefully. And I'm going to watch some Funimation when the time comes. Now, in the case of this episode, this one, I actually looked this up, and I was reading, because it says online, this episode taken from stuff from book 4 and book 5 of the series. So, rereading it, apparently, get this, of the 5 episodes that aired for the season so far, all but one taken from the epilogue of book 4. Yeah, they basically just splice in scenes from this epilogue throughout these 5 episodes. It's like, meanwhile, back in the kingdom, not really sure why I did this for. I thought this was kind of weird. And from what I can tell about this episode, the epilogue is done. Yeah, they fully adapted the whole entire epilogue. If you're curious to how much of the epilogue they did, for this episode here, they pretty much adapted, from what I can tell anyways, about, let's see, about 3.5 pages of the chapter. Yeah, that is basically safe for the ending. So, with this episode, they actually do cut out, now they also adapt from book 5 here, mostly put the whole entire episode until the very ending of the episode is taken from book 5 of the series. It starts off on page 81 for the adaptation, and it does eventually stop until page 221. So basically, roughly, this much of book 5 was adapted for this one episode. Yep. So, mostly they cut they in the case of the beginning portion, which they kind of cut here, but it's implied they may have said goodbye to Mayu when they went down below. So they basically go into the ocean, and of course they had this scene, which they cut out a little bit from the book itself, where you basically cut to the 5 girls taking a shower. Now, there is a tiny bit cut here, where Tio had asked Hajime to join her in the shower. And Hajime was like, the only person sitting naked is Yo. Yeah, they cut this out of the anime. That would have been quite hilarious, with the girls basically being jealous of the fact that, and I was thinking, like, wait, is Hajime not gonna peep on these 5 beautiful women, all of whom are in love with him? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, man, it shows the fact that Hajime is not peeping Tom. And apparently Corey noticing that, hey, Hajime's not on the bridge. So she goes on top of the ship, which, yes, this did happen in book 2, which they adapted beautifully. And mentioned how the sunset reminds them of Japan. The fact that it's been, apparently by book 5, and it's mentioned here, they mentioned it's slight wording change in the anime. In the book, they say it's been half a year. In the anime, it says it's been 6 months since the start of book 1. 6 months over the course of 5 books. Which, excuse me, in some way, that actually does kind of make some sense for that to happen. Yes, that makes total sense. And they do cut the bit out here of Yo when they have the rest of the 3 girls come on the top of the ship. You have Yo just popping out from the side of Hajime instead of basically sitting in his lap, which that would have been a hilarious visual to see the anime. Yeah, the vampire girl sitting in her lover's lap. Yep. And then they dive, and then they fire a bunch of monsters with torpedoes. Yes, torpedoes. Except this time it's not from the bottom of the submarine. Oh no. Like they were last time they fired these off. It's actually from the top of the submarine. Which kind of reminds you of that scene from The Hunt for October. I'm sure this is heavily inspired by that. Where there's a scene from October where on top of the submarine there's these like things that pop up and they fire missiles off. In the anime they changed that for torpedoes instead, which I thought was quite an interesting idea. And after that they reach, of course before they go down below, Hydra takes out the amulet that he got from the last place they went to, the Grand Gula volcano. Shines at the moon, lights it up. At the Valley of the Monsters, they go through 2 doors, and then they basically go through like this little hole, and then they go splat right in this this underground cave. Like, oh, it's like a ruins. Like, oh, does this look like a cave? And they proceed to walk through for a bit. And of course there's some water. So Hajime picks up Yo and puts her on his shoulder. Now, in case you're curious though, have I ever seen a guy do this in real life? Not personally, no, but I've seen it in footage. Yes, in footage of the late Macho Man Randy Savage doing it to his actual wife at the time, Miss Elizabeth. And this was actually footage of WrestleMania 4, where in celebration of him winning the at the time WWE Championship, I'd seen footage of this, so I wasn't watching at the time. I wasn't born yet. I think WrestleMania 4 happened in 88. Actually, that was the year I was born, but I didn't watch WrestleMania yet because basically I was probably just born just after the events of WrestleMania 4, and basically celebration. So basically you have Macho Man picks up Miss Elizabeth, puts her on his shoulder, and she's basically holding the championship on her shoulder in celebration. This is very similar to that, and of course they joke in the anime where, oh, you got Miyu spot. And I think it was Corey who said, maybe we should start calling you Yo-chan. And of course there's an argument between the two of them, which I thought was kind of funny. And then they go this little other area they have to stop like a dead end. And of course they have finding a freaking jelly monster. Yes, a jelly monster. Which they actually had it where, well, first they seal up the entrance with the jelly monster, placing a burn on Toe's chest. Yes, there's a burn thanks to Tao burning the thing off. And then, of course, when they get into like this little bubble, which was basically made by Yo, she was hoping Hydra would use her medicine on her. And then Corey just basically heals her right away. Now, in the book, she says that she was hoping to get groped by Hajime. In the anime, she says, I was really hoping Hydra would trust my breast. That's literally what she said in the anime. I'm reading what the sub says, so don't blame me, basically, for saying this stuff. So, they battle the monster for a little while, and of course, Corey comes to the interesting idea of her behind the fence and have Yo basically be on the offensive. Apparently, Yo doesn't have a problem with this at all, so of course they attack her for a while, and Hydra comes to the interesting idea to get away from the monster, basically drilling a hole in the ground, and they all fall through. And it looks like Corey is able to nearly not survive due to the fact she's human. And of course Hydra is too. And everyone else basically is a different creature. Of course, Yo's a vampire, Toe's a dragon, Ashia is a rabbit man, aka rabbit woman. Yeah, these three are able to survive no problem, but Corey is a normal human who knows magic. So Hydra ends up saving her thanks to Yo approving of this. And Hydra at this point out, though, that Corey has been apologizing a little bit more than usual and talk about her smile. And then they proceed to, well, he also has a pulling her cheek. There's a little mention of kissing in the episode, which they were mentioning that in the book. So then they walk along for a while, come across an area full of deserted ships. Yeah. And then they turn into an actual, what appears to be like a war set several hundred years prior to the series, where they end up basically killing a couple people by, well, one Corey by accident, and the other one was basically on purpose by, of course, Hydra. And of course, they jump off the ship, and the vision ends. Of course, you have Hydra, where you have Corey basically vomiting. And I do like it that he brings to the events of book 1 here, where in the Great Abyss, that was the first labyrinth they went to, where he nearly was swallowed, and of course, thanks to you, it saved his life. And they have a very good conversation here, which a lot of it is from the book itself. They do cut tiny bits of the conversation out here. It's just mostly a few lines. Like, they do keep the thing about, they mention she in the conversation. They do mention prior to this that Toe had mentioned that the whole concept. They mentioned the concept of the anime. In the book, it was theme. It's basically kind of it's similar thing, but it's just a wording change. And of course, after basically having a conversation, and the episode ends with Hydra suggesting that Corey get away from him, and that's the episode. Kind of a very sad note, and you can probably anger Hydra for basically telling a woman who loves him to basically get away from him. Yeah, and that's how the episode ends. Quite interesting and like that. But hopefully next week we're going to fix this. Yes. And it is also interesting, though, that over the course of these episodes, that it took until, I think it was just 2 episodes back, to basically finally start finishing up, like, Chapter 1. Yes, like, Chapter 1, they did finally finish up, I think it was like they started after Chapter 1 with basically the start of the season. The only episode that anything from the epilogue book 4. Oh, that's not where it ends. Kind of a very interesting note. Basically, this actually takes from the epilogue of book 4. You have Anko, where she's basically walking through the hallway, about to have dinner with her students, probably to tell her what Hyde would tell her. And then she's confronted by this mysterious note who tries to hypnotize her to go to Divine Mountain. In the book, she says temple. That's more of a direct. That change, I actually don't mind it at all. Calling it the Divine Mountain makes a little more sense than calling it a freaking temple. When you think of a temple, you think of an actual building, not a freaking mountain. As for this person is, they don't probably in the book they don't explain this until book 6 of who the heck this woman is. So, should I use hypnotism on Anko? Doesn't work. Also, the way the Emperor perspective of this woman is that she is very much taller than Anko, which I found to be that quite interesting. And then she needs to knock her out by punching her in the gut, and they have Princess Lily witnessing this, and she says she has to go tell somebody. My guess is probably Sasuke, who later on in the book she opens attraction to Hajime. I know because I read it. Yep. But yeah, that's the episode for. I almost forgot to mention that was kind of the end of the episode, not with the Hydra telling Corey the ending. I almost forgot about the actual ending of the episode, which that's interesting that they do that. Like in the case of the first season, the whole thing with the hero talking to this other person, that's from the beginning of the epilogue, and we have portions of that adapted for these episodes. And with this episode here, we're officially done with book 4. Unless, of course, they decided to adapt the official manga, like the ending of the chapter for chapter. What was this chapter before the epilogue? It was chapter number 4. If they adapt the act, which I highly doubt they will, because I think they're just gonna move on from book 4 and just do straight up book 5 for quite a while. Though in the case of that, they're probably not gonna do any meanwhile stuff. Like because basically all the epilogue, just one exception, like I said, episode 2 is from the epilogue of book 4. And with this episode, they're not going to do it anymore because they're basically just going to go straight to like stuff for book 5. Yes. Now, next week's episode, which is, by the way, the 19th episode of the series, so I think it's probably also the 6th episode of the series, which makes this almost halfway through. So next week's called Someone Important. That is pretty much the name of the next week's episode. And I would not be surprised if this one basically finished up chapter 2. Yes, because it seems as though when it comes to these episodes here, is that they actually are taking their time when it comes to adapting these episodes, which gotta give high praise for that. We're only 5 episodes in, and we're not even done with book 2. Book 5. We're not done with this yet, because here's the thing. In the first season, this is where we finished up book 1. Yes, the last season we got to this very number episode, this particular episode number for last season, that's when they finished up adapting book 1 for the series. And my guess is, this is probably my personal theory, is that one of the complaints that the other studio probably heard is that the pacing was way too quick, and they were adapting these books way too quickly, so they're taking their time. And I think also nothing from the epilogue book 4 makes total sense too. Probably just stretch out the episode itself to a pretty decent runtime, and they're not adapting from a lot of the book per se. I mean, the most they might do, in the case of this episode here, they adapted a total number of, I think it was like Because, like I said, they started with episode chapter 181. That's kind of in the way what they started with. Yes. And we did finish up with chapter 122. That's roughly about, I think it's about 42 pages, which is a bit shorter than last episode. There was one episode they did where they adapted 60 pages. So we're still a little bit through, and you might be thinking, are we like halfway through the book with the end of this? Kind of, yes. We're almost halfway through the book. And if you're curious, though, like, if you don't count the bonus stories for this one, like, how long is this book? Like, now, they have technically adapted one of the stories before for this one. So, if you don't count the bonus stories, the book itself is 309 pages. So, they have roughly about, like, if you don't count, if they want to adapt the extra, they probably would. But this is probably how much they have left to go for this adaptation. But if they want to include the extra chapter here before they get to the bonus stories, they might adapt this for a quick thing for when I finish up book 5. It might be about this much right here. So that's how much they probably have left to adapt for this book itself, which they might finish this up. My personal guess, it probably take about 2 more episodes to finish up adapting book 5. Yes, I'd say at least 2 more overall, due to the fact that it has like about 80 pages left. So we're probably going to see this finish up either by episode, I don't think by 19. No. I don't think we'll finish up at that point. I don't think we'll finish up at this point until, like, I'd probably say until episode 20 or 21 of the series is when we're finally going to finish adapting book 5. That's just my personal theory on the matter, but we'll find out when we get to it, okay? So that's going to be it for this particular review, and that's going to be video today because I don't have more time on videos tonight. So, yeah, it looks like that tomorrow it's going to be a lot of videos. Basically about the same I'm supposed to do today, except that tomorrow can be 5 because you got Case Study Thanatos, How Realistic Rebuilt the Kingdom, Demon Slayer, which actually is the final episode of the season, which I've heard is going to be a 45-minute episode, One Piece, and Boruto. One show I did not have to worry about doing today is Case Closed. That's the only one. If I did not get a chance to do that today, it would have been 6 shows due tomorrow instead of 5. So be lucky for that. But this basically finished covering stuff basically that came out on Thursday. You're probably asking why I didn't get a chance to do this Thursday. Didn't have much time. I was thinking through it last night, but also didn't have much time. Yep. So this is gonna be here. So in Tuesday, our next video should be tomorrow. So basically, overall, it's gonna be 5 anime, 2 manga reviews, and a comic course. So roughly about 8 videos hoping to do tomorrow. Okay. Next video. Bye.